Welcome back to my channel for a Leica episode I'm really looking forward to. And everything I'm doing in this video, I'm doing for the first time. So if there will be any accidents or any trouble coming up, that's because I've not practiced for this video. And this video is again about my new Leica Q3 43mm Apo-Summicron lens. And in a recent video, someone asked in the questions when I was discussing accessories for this new Q camera, whether I ever did try the Elpro E52 set, mounting it on the lens on the Apo-Summicron and hereby improving my close-up capabilities and macro shooting capabilities. And this is what this video is all about. I will, in an experimental way, try to show you that the Elpro E52 set really is capable of improving your close-up capabilities. And I will of course have a subject in front of me, which is this little truck here you see in the live view of the camera. Let's kick this off. Before you continue watching this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. I'm very grateful for every single new subscriber, but I'm not happy at this point in time with my overall number of subscribers. Despite more than 10 million views on my channel, we are below 50,000. Let's change this. Let's try to have an ambition level of 100K, which also gives me much more recognition at YouTube. And I really ask you to help me for that. And now let's get right into the topic. First of all, I already switched into the macro mode on the Apo-Summicron lens here on the new Leica Q3 43. And if you have not seen my video about macro shooting with the Leica Q3 43, I'll post a link down below in the info box. But in that video, in I would say a bit of a technical way, I explained that the minimum focusing distance of the Q3 43 is 27 centimeter, whereas for the Q3 28, it's actually only 17 centimeter. I also showed in that video that the maximum magnification you get for the Q3 43 is 0.25, so 25%. Now here, since I violate the minimum focusing distance, means I'm closer to my subject than 27 centimeter for this camera, the camera is no longer able to find focus. So I have to move a little bit away if I don't want to use a yardstick and find that point where it starts to find focus. Here we are still not there, you see this? Let's move a little bit more back and then we are kind of at the optimum distance. Still outside of the 27 centimeter, let's move it a little bit more. Here we go. Let's see if I move it a little bit forward. It's not finding focus. Here it's finding focus. So that's kind of where the minimum focusing distance is. As I said, 27 centimeter. And now I can take the shot. I'll use a self timer for this. So let's go ahead. Let's have a look into the preview here. And let's see how this looks like. Very nice, crisp and sharp. Look at this nice truck here. Looks very good. The container says only for paper and it's a very nice toy. So this works. By the way, I'm also at an aperture of f8.0 here because I want to avoid an overly shallow depth of field. I really want to have everything of that truck sharp and in focus. You see that I have nevertheless a blurry background. I can actually open the aperture a bit wider and let's see what happens if the shot is still to my liking. Let's go to f5.6, which is very often the sweet spot of Leica lenses. Let's try this again. All right, let's see if we zoom in how this plays out to be. It looks actually nice. I think we should shoot at f5.6. The background gets a bit more blurry and the truck looks nice. So this is now the maximum magnification I can have in the macro mode with a magnification of 0.25. And I explained in my video on macro shooting on the Q3 43 in detail what this all means. And what I want to do now is I want to actually go ahead and mount the Elpro E52 set. You could call this a magnifying glass, you could call it a macro or close-up extension capabilities tool, whatever it is. It's a lens which you screw in to the Apo-Summicron with an adapter and then it should enhance our macro capabilities and should actually give us an even smaller minimum focusing distance, so we get closer to the subject and by this achieve a larger magnification. So let's mount this and let's see what we can achieve. The Elpro E52 set comes in a nice box, and in the box we find a pouch, and the pouch contains two adapters. One for a filter thread of 46mm, which is a typical Leica M lens filter thread, and one for a filter thread of 49mm. And that's exactly what I need for my Q cameras, because 49mm is the filter thread. So first of all, if you look at that, that's the glass. Let's get it carefully out, not getting any fingerprints on the glass. And look at that. Isn't it beautiful? A very beautiful glass, and I'm going to screw this into the Apo-Summicron in a moment. Let's park it somewhere. Let's have a look at the filters here. And then here inside you find two pouches, and one is for 46mm. That's this one here actually. It's the E52 46mm adapter, and the other one is for 49mm, which will then do the trick for the Q cameras here. E52, E49. You see the filter thread here. And that's the one I'm going to use now on the Leica Q3 43 to get this beautiful glass here mounted, and to find out whether we can enhance our close-up shooting capabilities with this additional accessory, which I described quickly in my recent video on the overall space or universe of accessories you can purchase for this new Q camera. Mounting the adapter is straightforward. I don't even have to remove this round lens hood here, which I described in my most recent video about accessories of the Leica Q3 43. I just get inside here and screw it onto the UV or protection filter I have on the Apo-Summicron lens, which is also I showed in that video I just mentioned. And then I screw it firmly into the filter. And then I can take the Elpro E52 here. That's this one here. Product number is 14125. And I just screw it in. Very simple. It's a very simple and actually also a very travel friendly set I can take with me if I'm into macro or product or close-up shooting. And now let's see how this looks like. We tested before experimentally by trial and error to get to the minimum focusing distance of 27cm. Let's see if I can get closer now with this Elpro E52 mounted and then get a higher magnification of that truck, which is the subject for my shooting in this video. So I've placed now the camera and also my subject, and you already see this can focus, and with the truck I can now fully fill the sensor area and the frame. And just a reminder, this was the best I could achieve with the standalone macro mode on the Leica Q3 43. This is what you see now in live view, where I can take the shot. So let's try and take a shot here. And let's go into play mode. And then you see, this is the standalone macro mode. I'll show this later in Lightroom quickly. And this is what I can achieve with the Elpro E52. Amazing, impressive. And I really like that result. So the magnification actually increases from this standalone in the macro mode of the Apo-Summicron lens, and this if I use the Apo-Summicron together with the Elpro E52. And as I said, I'll show these images later in Lightroom. Let's also see whether the image quality of the Elpro E52, because that's the very last class on top of the lens, is keeping the quality we expect from an Apo-Summicron lens in the Leica universe. The question is this end of story? So here I can focus. Can I move a little bit closer? Let's try. Experimental again. Yes, I was gaining about 5mm. Let's try this a little more. Still focusing. Still focusing. Here we lost it. So we overdid it a little bit. Let's move a little bit back. Let's see if it finds focus again. That's it. Let's take another shot. It's even cutting off the subject now on the left and right hand side bezel. And this is what we have. So let's go back into play mode. And then we have here macro mode standalone, macro mode Elpro E52. This is at the minimum focusing distance. If I move any closer to the subject, the camera will no longer be able to focus. There is no technical data or specifications how much the magnification is you can achieve if you combine the Apo-Summicron with the Elpro E52. It's anyway a topic which is a little bit treated like a stepchild in the community. I don't see a lot of talking about the Elpro E52 set, although I think it's a fantastic additional accessory you can acquire for Leica M lenses and for obviously the Q cameras. So let's try to measure the subject here. I think this is about 8 cm in the horizontal direction, about 4.5 cm in the vertical direction. Let's note down these data points and let's see if we can figure out an about approximate magnification we have achieved with the Apo-Summicron in combination with the Elpro E52. Alright, let's try to develop some sense here and gain some insights what the about magnification is when I mount the Elpro E52 on the Q3-43. And standalone, it's theoretically coming from the formula I presented in my last video on shooting macros with the Q3-43, 0.25 times. And for this I need a more precise measurement of the truck. So here you see the true physical dimensions of my subject. 7.7 centimeter in horizontal direction and 4.1 centimeter in vertical direction. We also have the dimension of the sensor. It's a full frame sensor which sits in the Leica Q3-43, so we have 36 millimeter horizontally and 24 millimeter vertically. And if I play a little bit with the truck and see how many of these trucks fit in horizontal direction, I come to 2.1 times that the truck fits into the 36 millimeter horizontally. So 2.1 is the number we need to remember here. And that means the truck covers horizontally 17.14 millimeter. How did I come up with this? Well, take the 36 millimeter horizontal dimension of the sensor divided by the 2.1 times we just figured out, and we end up at 17.14 millimeter as the dimension of the truck on the sensor in the image area. And this, extending now the math a little bit, can be used to put in perspective the physical horizontal dimension, which is 7.7 centimeter, and then put it in perspective to the 17.4 millimeter, which, in order to use the same unit, is 1.714 centimeter. And all we have to do is dividing now the dimension the truck replicates in the image area by the true physical dimension. That's 1.714 centimeter divided by 7.7 centimeter. So we end up at a magnification in horizontal direction of 0.22 times, which is a bit lower than the theoretical maximum magnification I pointed out before as 0.25. Let's now look at the vertical direction, and for this we again figure out how often the truck fits in vertical direction into the 24 millimeter, which is the vertical dimension of the sensor. Turns out to be 2.6 times. By the way, it's easy to figure that out if you draw, like you see here, these vertical lines and stack them on top of each other without having a gap, and then reading the pixel dimensions you can see in the presentation software you're using. So it's very simple to figure this out. And here we come up now that the truck covers vertically in the dimension on the sensor in the image area 9.23, and that of course is obtained by dividing the sensor dimension 24 millimeter by the 2.6 times. And if we put this again in perspective in vertical direction now, as I did before in horizontal direction, we end up at a vertical magnification of 0.23 times. Still a little bit below the theoretically maximum possible magnification of 0.25 times. Moving on, we can now see how the magnification plays out if we mount the Elpro E52. And here this is pretty simple. So in this image here, the truck is basically covering horizontally the whole image area. That means we can simply calculate the sensor dimension 3.6 centimeters, so the 36 millimeter, divided by the physical dimension of the truck in horizontal direction, which is 7.7 centimeter, and we end up at the magnification of 0.47 times. So that's about double of what we had without the Elpro E52. And in vertical dimension, I have to figure out where we are. And you see again on the right hand side these vertical white lines. Turns out that the truck is fitting 1.2 times into the vertical direction, which means we have to divide the sensor dimension 24 millimeter by 1.2, as we did before in a couple of calculations. We end up at 20 millimeter. The 20 millimeter are 2 centimeter divided by the physical vertical dimension of the truck of 4.1 centimeter, ends up at 0.49 times, so almost 0.5 times. Now, if you focus for a moment on the right hand side and look at that truck, if you remember before when I played with minimum focusing distance in an experimental way, I actually managed, here on the left hand side you see the truck I just put on matrix, on the right hand side you see my best result I achieved by playing with minimum focusing distance experimentally. Here you see the truck is even going beyond the left and right hand side boundary. And that means we can safely claim that the magnification ratio of the Q3-43 with the Elpro E52 mounted is about 0.5 times. And that, guys, is fantastic, because by definition a true macro lens starts with 50% magnification, and then you have the 1:1. Sometimes you go beyond 1:1 and so on. But with the Elpro E52, the Leica Q3-43 becomes a true macro instrument. And that is a fantastic result. And what I'm going to do now is I want to look into these images in more detail in Lightroom, also provide some other shots which I did when playing with the Elpro E52 mounted on the Q3 43 to give you a bit more clarity and impressions on the image quality. Alright, let's look into some images here. So this is the first shot which I did live in front of the filming camera at an f8.0 full resolution, and you see the background blurriness is nice, but later on, and I just show it here, I opened the aperture even wider to f5.6, and you see how the background blurriness is changing. This is f8.0, this is f5.6. Now looking at the image quality, first of all, the colors come across very nicely. And my impression really is that the Elpro E52 is in no way disturbing or messing up with the excellent quality of the Apo-Summicron lens, which is built into the Q3 43. Let's crop in by 100% and look at that. I can tell you, I didn't know that my little toy here, my truck, is so dirty and full of dust. And you see so many details here, but also the micro contrast and the way this image comes across is very nice. I was shooting at, I think, a significantly high ISO here, like 1600, because I don't care that much about ISO when I do these type of testings where it's about macro capabilities, but it's a clean and nice picture. It looks really good. Now, opening the aperture wider to f5.6, we see a bit more background blurriness, as I just mentioned. And again, same story. This is super clean, super clear. Very well done, looks really good. Here I also applied the excellent noise reduction in Lightroom. And you see this is a clean image, despite the fact that the ISO was comparably high here. And look at that. Lots of details, really well brought across. Looks nice. Now, the next one is when I then mounted the Elpro E52 on the Q3 43, and here you see it's almost filling the image area here and the frame. And again, quality of the image, excellent. You see it's the same sharpness, the same clarity, everything is the same as what we saw before, just the magnification is significantly larger, and as we just saw, is about double. We can achieve without the Elpro E52 a 25% magnification. With the Elpro, we achieve a 50% magnification. So it doubles up the magnification, and you clearly see this here. The next image is the one where I have before played with the minimum focusing distance, testing whether I can still focus if I move a bit closer to the subject with the camera. And also here, image quality, really good. The Elpro E52 is playing very nicely with the Apo-Summicron lens on the Q camera here. I have a couple of more images which I wanted to show. So this, for instance, here is interesting because there is one point I want to make. If you look here into the center, it's very, very sharp and crisp. But if you go to the boundaries, it becomes soft. You see this here on the left-hand side. You see it also here on the right-hand side. It's soft. So the clarity and sharpness is by far the highest in the center. And that is something which is known for the Elpro E52, that this is the case. Now, of course, you can correct this in post. So here's another image where it should actually look better. Let me try to put them side by side and show the effect to you. So let's put them side by side here. And in the center, very clear, very crisp. Left-hand side, no post-processing. Right-hand side, post-processing. And if I go now to the left-hand side here, you see I was able to correct the softness to some extent. If you know how to do this in post-processing, it's not a problem to fix the issue with soft boundaries. And in macro photography, you anyway focus a lot on the center of the image. But you can do something here. If you compare the left-hand side with the right-hand side is significantly better. Let's look at the right-hand side of the image here. And again, on the left-hand side, you see fuzziness. On the right-hand side, where I corrected this, it looks better. Here it's still a little bit fuzzy because that's a shallow depth of field situation here. But where the focus was sitting, I was able to correct this in post-processing. The right-hand side image is much better than the left-hand side image. At least that's a point I wanted to make. Let's go back to the single image here. Where are we? Let's go here to this one, maybe. That's one of my lenses. And if you look at that, crop in by 100%, sharp like the night. Pinpoint sharp. It looks really good. Look at that. And again, I'm repeating myself, the Elpro E52 is not taking away or discounting anything from the excellent and brilliant image quality you get from the Apo-Summicron lens in the Q camera here. Looks really good. Here, Professor Dumbledore, it's again a toy. If I crop in by 100%, this is the full resolution. You see how the paintings are applied to the face. Not in the most artistic way, in my opinion. It's actually sloppy work if I look at that. And you crop in, but you see the sharpness of the image. Next image is a book on quantum computing. And I wanted to show how shallow the depth of field is if you have mounted the Elpro E52. And you focus here at an aperture as wide as f5.6. And look at that, not even the whole ratio here, 1/√2 is sharp. So it's a really shallow depth of field, and you have to either stop down more, or you need to find a way to manually focus stack this image and then create a larger area of sharpness in the image. The depth of field is very shallow if the Elpro E52 is mounted. Next image, you see here details from a Rolleiflex camera I own. So it's a medium format film camera. And if you crop in here, super sharp. I think I have a couple of more images on that camera. Look at this one here. Quite nice. Really, really sharp. And by the way, in terms of micro contrast, colors coming across, really, really nice. Here another one, look at that, 60 years of Rolleiflex, 1929 to 1989. It's a special limited edition. I love this camera, by the way. And here another detail of that camera, another detail, looks all really good. And then I thought, why not showing a typical product photography situation? And what you see here is the same image, but the left-hand side is not post-processed. And the right hand side is a little bit post-processed to again overcome the softness in the corners of the image area. And this is a watch from Montblanc, and most people will know Montblanc from their luxury pens they are producing and distributing worldwide, but they also make watches, and these watches are typically quite affordable compared to the very expensive Swiss brands like Patek Philippe or Richard Mille or Audemars Piguet, but they are beautiful. And this is a skeletonized design here. And I had the opportunity to take photos of that watch. And if you look at that, this is now a typical product photography situation. You want to set a watch in scene, and this type of image is absolutely impossible to achieve with a Leica Q3 43 if you do not have mounted the Elpro E52 and get that double magnification of 50%. And the image, if I crop in here by 100%, this is a super sharp, super crisp image. Where it is not sharp, it's because of movement fuzziness, because I did not stop the watch from ticking. And again, on the boundaries of the image here, for instance, it becomes a bit softer. If you compare here the left-hand side with the right-hand side, then you see that the right-hand side with a little bit of post-processing already improves the image. Same on the right-hand side. If you go here, for instance, let's go here. And if you focus on that particular element here, or the hour, minute and second markers on the bezel, you see this is improved in terms of clarity on the right hand side by post-processing. But general, a typical product photography situation here. And let me get just the final image here on display, and look at that. This is something you can do now with your Q3 43. Impossible without that extension enhancement by the Elpro E52, and shows you a real life situation of photographers who need to set a certain product in scene. And you can do this now with this travel friendly kit, the Elpro E52, which you can easily have in your bag with your camera and pull it out and use it and mount it when you want to set something smaller in scene very big in the image area. All right, that's it. That's all I wanted to say and show. I hope you liked that video. There is really a substantial boost in close-up capabilities if you purchase that additional accessory and have it at your disposal whenever you want to go into macro shooting mode, close-up shots, product photography, what have you. If you liked that video, don't forget to drop me your thumbs up. Stay tuned on my channel. There's always more to come. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy, and of course, peace out.